Hey you.
Yeah, you. I have a secret. I wanted to show you the best ways to farm nanites in No Man's Sky Waypoint, but don't tell anybody.
Coming in at number 4 is one of the very best early methods to make nanites, and that's looking for buried technology modules. But instead of just looking for the buried technology modules, you want to look for damaged machinery instead. Buried technology modules will always be in the ground near these damaged machinery, so it's like two birds with one stone. Now you can also turn this residual goop into nanites as well, so you might as well loot that. Only early game. Generally, if you don't get a module to sell for nanites, you're going to get about 30 nanites. See what I'm talking about? There's always buried technology right next to these damaged machineries. The cool thing about this method is you can start doing this about an hour after you start a fresh save, once you get your terrain manipulator all sorted. Inside those buried technology modules will be salvage data, and that's what we can refine down into nanites. Each salvage data is worth 15 nanites, and you can get between 1 and 4 salvage data in a buried technology module. The main reason why you want to target these damaged machineries is you have a decent chance at getting a module inside of these, and it's worth a heck of a lot more than 30 nanites. Now, it is worth mentioning that occasionally you have to back away from the damaged machinery in order to find the buried technology modules. It won't show up until you get a little distance away. This only happens every now and then, so I just wanted to let you know, just in case you're like, bro, they're not here. Before you go completely ham and convert all of your salvage data into nanites, just understand that you will need some of that salvage data early on for your base quests in order to build your teleporter, batteries, things like that. So yeah, don't turn everything into nanites. Next up to bat is the side effect of actually doing this process. You're going to get a lot of this slime, viscous fluid, and things like that in the damaged machinery. All that can be refined down into nanites. Goop can be refined down into viscous fluid, and then viscous fluid can be refined into living slime. So this is something that's going to take quite some time to turn that goop into viscous fluid, and the viscous fluid into the living slime. From living slime, you can actually convert that into runaway mold. Now the process keeps going and going and going. After you refine all that runaway mold, you can actually turn them into nanites at a 5-to-1 ratio. Man, this takes forever, and ultimately it's not really worth your time. As I was heading back to my base to start the very next method, I found some of these buried technology modules that aren't really buried. Occasionally this happens, they'll be floating above the ground, so, might as well mooch them up. As a new player, you're not going to have the personal refiner like I do. You'll have to complete the quest up to the point you get to the space anomaly, so you're going to have to convert all these in your portable refiner. Now that was a quick 90 nanites for free. Coming in at number 3 will be farming larval cores at abandoned buildings. You'll need to locate the stellar cartographer. They're right next to the teleporter on space stations. Ultimately, you'll want to find a stellar cartographer that just randomly drops the exact same map that we need. Unfortunately, this one isn't it. Instead of hunting down the right cartographer, we're just going to exchange for a random chart using navigational data, which can be found all over space stations. Now, the one you're going to want to be getting is the emergency chart. That's the one you're going to want to get. I think I'll probably grab 10 charts. Now, that's way more than I need to actually show you the method, because ultimately what we're trying to do is find a large abandoned building. To use these charts, they're super easy. They'll be in your inventory. Just press E to plot your route, and if you don't find the abandoned building right away like I did, just keep plotting until you find one. Alright, well, this should be interesting showing you this method because this is an aggressive Sentinels planet, and you probably don't want to do it here if you have the choice. Well, boo. Unfortunately, this is a small building, which means we're probably only going to get about 13 larval cores. In order to farm these larval cores safely, I'm going to make a downward sloping tunnel. Each one of the intersections will meet under the center of the building. Once all of our safety tunnels are set, we'll bust out with our mining laser and then just start popping larval cores. They'll roll right down to you, and then you can just loot them. And when you pop that very first egg, a whole bunch of evil monsters are going to spawn. The majority of them will spawn above ground. Occasionally, some will spawn underground. Just buck them really quick and then loot up your eggs. At this point, you should be totally and completely safe. None of the monsters will come underground. And just to make sure you're getting all of the eggs, use your analysis visor to make sure you see some of the hidden ones. Once popped, these larval cores don't last long, so make sure that you loot them as quickly as you can. For small buildings, you're going to get 13 larval cores, and for large buildings, you're generally going to get 26. And considering these larval cores are worth 69,000, it's really hard for you to want to turn them into nanites, but trust me, turning them into nanites is better. Nanites are a bit harder to get than money even in No Man's Sky Waypoint, so definitely turn them into nanites. Hadal cores are worth just as much as the larval cores. These are found at the bottom of oceans or lakes, although, larval cores are way easier to find. Let's pop another map in hopes of finding another abandoned building. You can ham these out like super duper quickly. But wait, there's more. So before we head out, you can loot more of this disgusting residual goop, but ultimately we want to interact with the machine here. After you analyze the data log, you're going to get a random amount of nanites. Now it can be anywhere between like 100 up to 300 or 400. I've gotten a ton from these before, so do them. Coming in at number 2, which arguably could be the number 1 method, is beating the total incomplete crap out of these Sentinels for nanites. This can be done in the early stages of the game, but if you're a really new traveler, make sure you build this little underground elbow that I made. At any time, if you get yourself in trouble, just run down into that elbow and you'll be relatively safe. Once you start laying the smack on the single Sentinel, all of a sudden a whole bunch of them are going to start showing up. Now, they all have different jobs. Some of them are going to be healers, some are going to be focused on combat, and the pyramid-shaped ones, they actually summon other Sentinels to the battle. So you may or may not want to destroy them. In most cases, I like to leave them up, but if I start getting overwhelmed, I'll destroy them. Ultimately, though, if you can handle it, keep those pyramid ones up as much as you possibly can and focus on destroying everything else. That way you can drag this fight out as long as possible so we can get more raw nanites from kills. We're going to get tons of pugnium, which can be converted into nanites. I'll show you that here in a little bit. But more importantly, what we want to get is salvage glass. Ultimately, if you keep progressing through the waves of Sentinels, you'll hit wave number 5. There's going to be a gigantic walker. Now, they're super duper easy to buck down. First, you just kind of focus on the legs, which cripples them. Then you put all of your damage into the head until the walker blows up. But ultimately, you don't even have to get to this stage if, you don't want to. Ultimately, you could just keep those pyramid-shaped dudes up forever, just let them keep summoning, and just keep killing the daggone Sentinels forever. You don't even have to get to stage 5. When it's all said and done, you're going to get a ton of raw nanites just from killing them, but man, the salvage glass drops, that is what you're looking for. When you extract components, you'll have a chance to get random items, stuff that you can kind of craft on your own, but ultimately what you're looking for are those special drops, those modules that can be sold for nanites. Out of 40 of the salvage glass, we ended up with 14 of these modules we can actually sell. Now, these modules can actually be really, really good, so if you want to, you can use them for your own personal needs. And as you can see, I actually do have one of these modules installed, and I actually got that a few days ago when Sentinels tried to pick on me. So yeah, they're actually quite good, but we're going to sell them for nanites. Murking Sentinels is going to earn you a boat ton of pugnium. Now that can be refined down into nanites at 25 to 1. Kind of worth it, kind of not worth it. These special Sentinel modules can be sold at any of the vendors here in the booth. Now I'm just going to go over to the exosuit vendor guy here and pawn them off to him. It doesn't really matter. They're all going to pay you exactly the same. Doesn't matter which one you go to. Bucking down those Sentinels took maybe 10 or 12 minutes, and it looks like we're going to make just under 7k nanites just for those modules alone. Doesn't count all the nanites that we got for bucking them, doesn't count any of the nanites if we refine that pugnium. Coming in at our number 1 method for making nanites is scrapping guaranteed first wave exotic S-class ships. Finding your very own guaranteed first wave exotic can be tedious, so I highly recommend that you check out this video here. That video will give you the portal location to this exact system. Once you're here, you're going to be able to buy these daggone S-class exotic ships like they're candy because they come in every single time on the first wave. Alright traveler, now if you want to be cheesy, you can actually exchange your ship for this ship if it's worth more. Then you can run back over to your original ship, which will now have an NPC, talk to them, negotiate the price, and then just claim your ship for free. Kinda cheese. And since all of these ships are going to have some type of technology you can scrap, you might as well scrap that as well. So if we would have paid money, we would have paid 26 million. We're only getting 18 million back in scrap, so keep that in mind unless you use that little kind of ship exploit to get ships for free. If you do this as intended, you will lose a little bit of money when you're scrapping these ships, but ultimately what Hello Games wants is you to convert your units into nanites. To do that, you just sell all the modules that you're going to get from scrapping these ships. There will be travelers out there that don't have all their portal glyphs yet, so which one of these ships are worth scrapping? Now, ultimately, you're going to want to be buying the cheapest ships possible that are B, A, and S class. Well, S-Class goes without saying because S-Class ships actually have a guaranteed chance to drop a storage augmentation. And seriously, you're going to need a boat ton of those storage augmentations to upgrade your main ship, so you might as well just farm these guaranteed exotics here for nanites as well as those augmentations. And just like that, we made several thousand nanites scrapping ships, totally and completely safe. There you have it. These are the best ways to farm nanites in No Man's Sky Waypoint. If this video was helpful to your gameplay, please like, comment, and subscribe for future No Man's Sky videos. Peace. I guarantee if you found this video helpful, you're gonna love this next one.